All right, hello again, fifth grade families. Hope everybody's enjoyed a nice weekend at home. We had a good first week back from our break, and we're kind of ready to keep going now. Here's just an update for the week coming up ahead. Basically, general news. Yeah, we were get back to action last week. Kids did a nice job, kind of settling in. A lot of tired eyes on Monday, but we kind of dove into the routine and kind of got back at it. I always like to spend a little time coming back from break, just letting us get used to getting up at that time and back into that busy routine, especially after this past Christmas break when things probably weren't quite as busy as normal. Um, as part of that, we had a math quiz last week. Would have again preferred to give that before break, but with things getting a little bit thrown haywire with the remote week before that, we didn't quite get to it. So we spent a few days reinvigorating our brains, refreshing our minds about what we were covering with the decimals, and the kids did a pretty good job overall when we took that quiz. Okay. Um, so as we get into new math work this week, we did a little preview last week as we got into some things that get us switched over to multiplying decimals next. We did just some whole number multiplication, a couple activities just to kind of get their brains thinking more about the math facts with multiplication and kind of activating those corners of our brains and things. So this week we'll start getting into some of the basics with that. In science, we've been having a fun time exploring the solar system in our space unit lessons. And this week we got through that lesson about the solar system last week and finished up. This week we'll take some time to discuss sort of the challenge of accurately modeling size and distance in space. We've learned some facts like Mercury is the smallest planet, Jupiter is the largest, and all the other things about the groupings of inner and outer planets, which is great. But one of the kind of challenges I've kind of talked about with the kids throughout this time is that when you see these things in books, like here might be a diagram, this is not from our book, but something you might see if we talk about the solar system. This is really useful for understanding what these different planets look like and what order they're in as we go through the solar system away from the sun, deeper into space. Um, but that's really all they're useful for. The problem with these is that they don't really give an accurate uh, description of the size of the planets compared to one another, and also the vast distances of how far apart they're spread. It's all kind of squeezed into one space, which it kind of needs to be in order for us to kind of be able to study them on a couple pages of a textbook. Um, but in reality, these are way far spread apart, and in reality, Earth is much smaller than it appears compared to Jupiter and things like that. So what we'll do this week is take a couple days, or at least a day, to actually have to go outside. And what I like to do every year is go out to the football field and use that as our sort of space area. And when we do that, if we shrink down the sun to the size of a basketball, we still need to use like basically the whole entire football field to start to model what it looks like to show the distance between the sun and Jupiter and then all the parts in between. And then beyond that, we don't even have enough room to accurately do a scale model describing that size and distance. But it's still a fun way to do it. It's a fun chance to get outside. Right now I'm planning on Wednesday for that. That's supposed to be a high of 46, which is more than last week, and it'll be sunny hopefully too. So we'll get out there for a little bit and do a little active engagement with some modeling where we'll have the kids act as different parts of the solar system. And it's always good to help us see those vast distances that the reality is we can't see that in a textbook or even on a TV screen. And along with that, we'll also talk about that's some of those challenges of those distances leads us into some of the history connections we can make with the exploration of space. And that's always a fun part for me to learn about and share with the kids. That's always something I've always been fascinated in. The history of engineering and the space exploration, the goals of not just the United States space program, but all humans. The quest to know more about the world beyond our atmosphere. So we'll do a few video enhancements with things as far as learning about some of the history of again the engineering accomplishments that needed to take place to allow us to learn some of the things we know for now. Like for example, when we see pictures of Jupiter or Saturn, they're very descriptive. But many years ago we didn't have those images because we weren't able to send space probes out into the solar system to capture those images and study those planets. And again, there's a lot of engineering and science investigation work that goes into us knowing the things we know now. And that's always a fun thing. So hopefully we'll also maybe do a project as far as looking at some explorers in space. I know that in social studies, Ms. Cullen's class, they've recently done an explorers project for explorers who explored parts of our world. And space lies beyond, and we have some more modern day explorers that have helped us learn new things about everything beyond our world. So we'll get into that. It should be fun with science this week as we dive into some more understandings of how awesome space is and cool things we can learn about explorers in space. Finally, English, not quite as exciting as science this week, but we're going to talk about pronouns as we get into a new unit on that. So we just finished up some of our capitalization and punctuation type work. We spent a lot of time on abbreviations last week, which was fun. We focused on some state abbreviations and some other common abbreviations that help us communicate in our writing and sort of all understand the way we're sharing that information. And then, so now we'll get more into the grammar kind of stuff rather than the sentence structure type things, and learn about pronouns. So that'll be what we get into with English when we get the chance this week. So that's about it. That's what we've got going on this week ahead. Thanks for watching. Thanks, guys. Hoping to continue getting back in that routine. Those weeks keep flying by as we work and go. And looking forward to more on Monday. I'll see you then. Bye bye.